Hello and welcome to Unsolved Mystery with Pranav. This week we investigate Area 51 as part of our ongoing investigation into the question, are aliens real? Let's get into it. On November 26, 1954, Alan Dulles, the director of CIA, entrusted his special assistant Richard Bissell to lead a very secret program with the secret name Akotone. It was the beginning of the Cold War, and the Akotone's mission was to build a high altitude reconnaissance aircraft that could fly over the Soviet Union undetected. The plane had to fly higher than any other plane had flown before, and the team would need to put it together in complete secrecy. That aircraft came to be known as U 2. Once built, the team needed to find somewhere they could test the aircraft without being discovered. On April 12, 1955, Bissell, along with Air Force Officer Colonel Osmond Ritlin, Clarence Kelly Johnson, the of Lockheed's Skunk Works Division, and the Lockheed test pilot Tony LaVier, surveyed options in the sparsely populated deserts of the American West. They honed in on a site near a Nevada salt flat called Groom Lake, a piece of land better known by its map, called Area 51. But the U-2 isn't the top secret aircraft hidden inside Area 51 that's captivated people's imaginations. This top secret government base has been dogged with theories of extraterrestrial phenomena for years. One theory even posited that Area 51 was built at a site of a top secret crash and that the US was analyzing these spaceships in order to reverse engineer alien technology to develop better man-made aircrafts. Perhaps the most famous proponent of this theory is a man who claimed his job was to do exactly that. On May 12, 1989, KLAS reporter George Knapp interviewed a man who kept his face hidden from the camera and was identified in the screen only as Dennis. Dennis revealed that he briefly worked at S4, an outpost facility near Area 51. Knapp asked the obscured man, quote, exactly what's going on up there, end quote. Dennis answered plainly, quote, well, there is several, actually 9 flying saucers, flying discs that are out there of extraterrestrial origin, being tested and basically just analyzed, end quote. When Knapp pressed about whether or not these mysterious aircraft could have possibly been made by our own government, Dennis shot back, quote, totally impossible. The propulsion system is a gravity propulsion system. The power source is an antimatter reactor. This technology does not exist at all. End quote. Dennis was later identified as Robert Bob Lazar, a senior staff physicist who was recommended for his position at S4 by none other than Dr. Edward Teller, the man who co-invented the thermonuclear bomb. In a televised interview, Lazar provided information on the type of technology he said he had seen as well as sketches identifying what the spacecraft looked like. Lazar nicknamed the craft he worked on as the Sport Model. Lazar said he was motivated to show his face and give his true identity in the later interviews to ensure his safety. Quote, insurance is the true motivation behind this. End quote. In his initial anonymous interview, he mentioned the things he faced with the government. Quote, I have been threatened with being charged with espionage. I have had my life threatened by them, my wife's life threatened by them. And I mean, I don't know where else you can go from there. End quote. This seems little creepy. Let's go on. In a 2018 documentary, Lazar was asked, quote, would you have taken it all back and just be Bob the jet car guy and never have done this if you can? Or are you glad you had the experience? End quote. Lazar answered, quote, yeah, that's hard to say. I don't know. I think I'd lean towards not at this point in my life. I'd probably lean towards not saying anything. End quote. Bob Lazar risked everything to tell what he believed to be the truth. Quote. that in the late 1980s the US government had recovered alien spacecraft, several of them, and the technology in the Nevada desert that they were keeping quiet and analyzing. That's a fact. End quote. But is it a fact, or are these alien spacecraft just ongoing sightings of the U-2, the High Altitude Reconnaissance Aircraft that started this way back in 1955? A CIA report that was most fully declassified in 2013 states that the U-2 program was responsible for several UFO sightings around Area 51. In fact, there was an increase in reported UFO sightings right around the same time. The U-2 test flights began in Area 51, which the CIA documents call, quote, an unexpected side effect, end quote. And while it might be easy for the government to explain UFO reports as U-2 sightings, Bob claims he didn't just see the alien spacecraft, but the crew as well. God, aliens, seriously? On March 1989, Bob Lazar was walking down an S4 hallway when, according to author Anne Jacobson, he, quote, glanced sideways through a small 9 by 9 inch window, and for a brief moment he says he saw inside an unmarked room. He thought he saw a small grey alien with large head standing between two men dressed in white coats with a large head. He tried to get a better look, but he was pushed by guards who told him to keep his eye forward and down. End quote. Lazar stated that the aliens around Area 51 were referred to as the kids. But if the flying saucer and the small grey aliens weren't enough to compel Knapp to believe Lazar, it could have been the totally impossible technology that started emerging in the marketplace. Technology that Lazar recognized as alien. In one early interview, Lazar describes a hand scanner that used some kind of advanced technology which he claims could grant him and other employees access to S4. In the 2018 documentary Bob Lazar, Area 51 and Flying Saucers, is shown a now declassified photo of such a device called an Identimat, used in the F-117 program. Lazar confirmed it was a device used in the 80s. That's way back, and this device was there back then. But according to Lazar, it was what was fueling the flying saucer that intrigued him the most. Lazar said, quote, I was given a demonstration on how it worked, the physics of it, but the thing they were most interested in was to duplicate the reactor without using this element 115, which is of course impossible, maybe not as impossible as Lazar once thought. When Lazar reported that they were working on something called element 115 back in the 80s, it didn't exist in the periodic table. He explained that the spacecraft used in element 115 as its fuel because it could actually produce its own gravity. Reverse engineering this alien fuel was what S4 was most interested in. Element 115 has since been created by Russian scientists in the early 2000s and reported as confirmed at 2013. This element could be only made for less than 1 second actually. So they are trying to make it so that it can be sustained for more time. One Swedish chemist replicated the element at the GSI Helmholtz Center in Germany, now called moscovium. Element 115 is extremely heavy and highly unstable. Originally picked out in April of 1955, Area 51 wasn't even acknowledged as official existing until August of 2013, with nothing but some chain link fencing and signs warning against trespassing at the head of an unmarked road. All we can do now is follow Bob Lazar's advice to younger generation. Quote, just pay attention. Just pay attention. Perhaps Area 51 might be declassified for public in future. Until then, whether Area 51 holds aliens or not remains unsolved. Thank you, and do like, share and subscribe this video, and do show me your support by following me on Twitter. If you have any other case you want me to state, do tell me in the comments below.